every land has a story. And Odisha is woven with the threads of heritage, craftsmanship, and indigenous belief. At Sarna, we don't just explore history, we bring it to life. Founded in the city of Bhubaneswar, Sarna is not just an organization. It's a vision created when two brilliant minds came together and planted the seed of Sarna. Let's welcome our guest today, the co-founder of Sarna, Mr. Jeetu Mishra and Rosalind Das. Let's start with the original story. What sparked the idea of Sarna?
So we had joined this informal history club during COVID times, wherein we would discuss about the history and the heritage of Odisha. And I had just moved to Odisha, after staying outside for quite some time, and same with Jeetu sir. And we thought there should be something that we could have for our state. It was time to give back to our state. So we thought of forming a heritage educational travel company, and Sarna as a name was actually suggested, or it came out because Sarna believes in the concept of sustainable living. So I think that's what the name clicked, and we thought we would go ahead with that.
Amazing. You both came from such diverse background. So how did this unique combination shape Sarna's vision?
Okay, so diversity is actually the strength. So as a student of anthropology and archaeology, I would have certain biases, and when it comes to public relations, or I would see always from my perspective. But if you are running a venture, so you have to have multiple people from multiple backgrounds, so that this becomes a smooth affair. So in that way, Rosalind is a very fast learner, because we met, as she said, in a history club, informal history club. We met in an informal history club in Bhubaneswar, and that time the COVID started, the lockdown started in 2020. So I was also contemplating, because I was having another organization called Virasat Foundation, which was registered in Ahmedabad, my previous location. And the time when I had set up this Virasat Foundation, and along with another partner. So the focus was pan India, to bring in qualitative, how you make history learning fun and engaging. That was the whole idea. And I was also a fellow of Wipro SEEDS programs, Wipro fellowships. But when I came to Odisha, the focus shifted, because I felt that Odisha has a lot of things to offer. And I traveled also, I came to Odisha in 2018, and I traveled across the state for almost 2 years without having any agenda, just to listen to the stories of people and immerse myself in the local culture. So I felt that Odisha has a lot of stories to share, and these stories should go to the people across the world. And that is the reason I had to just give a bye-bye to Virasat Foundation, and I was looking for a partner, who would also understand the vision and work towards that. So Rosalind and me discussed after the lockdown started, I think in March or April 2020. February it was the lockdown started, I think 1 or 2 months after. So there was a little relaxation. So I told her that let us meet, and we stay not very far from each other. So I met her, and we discussed. Initially, her idea was to empower the youth through tourism, and we were also I was also thinking that how can we actually create a very interesting experience by keeping our guests in the tribal homes and offering them. But that did not work out in the later period. Once we started, we understood also there were problems. So in that way, she did not know much about traveling. Let me say frankly, she had a very, because I, as a student of archaeology, I have seen I've done all kind of travel, whether it is in a bullock cart or it is an airplane. So I have made all kind of travel and stayed in all kind of places. 50 rupees ka place maybe I have stayed.
It's amazing actually.
And also in 5,000 rupees ka place mein. So that Rosalind, but within 1 or 2 years she picked up everything, and she she herself became a role model for immersive travel.
Wow.
So I am learning now from her. Actually,
That is amazing.
yeah.
Sarna draws inspiration from indigenous belief. Can you share something that really speaks to you?
Sarna. See, Sarna is one of the religions, nature-centric religions, practiced by the Santal community of Odisha as well as Jharkhand and Bengal also. So this is basically, the concept of sacred groves, where they don't let anyone to enter without the permission, and you have to go also barefoot when you enter to the shrine. And in the deep forest, protected forest, there is a shrine of goddess Bonadurga or some other deity, Sarna, where they offer puja, and they believe that if they cut the trees, harm the forest, they would be in trouble, and the goddess will create problem for them in any kind of form. Either there will be an epidemic, or there will be death or anything. So that's a deep belief with nature, and that we thought that it would be the ideal, because we believe in Sarna, our venture, that the travel has to be sustainable. It has to not create much of carbon footprints. It has to help the local communities, and also become a voice for conserving the forest and nature, and also water bodies. So that became our main source of inspiration.
I think coexistence, I would
Coexistence.
add. Yeah. So we coexist, and for us to grow, we need the community to grow. And that is how we are interdependent, and we have strived to work in that area. And that has worked so far.
That's amazing. So now we know about Sarna. So how did Odisha Potli and Odisha Journey came to, exist?
So it was never Odisha Journeys, When we created Sarna, it was Sarna Educational and Cultural Services. And we would do educational focused tourism in the corner pockets of Odisha. Eventually, we got incubated under Startup Odisha. So our focus was now educational and cultural aspects. But when we presented this idea, when we spoke about, Sarna, we had mock pitch and all that, right? So everybody thought that this is too thin spread. We are all over the place, and there has to be some focused, ideas or product branding for that matter. So we thought, okay, Sarna Educational is the parent company, and we would have Sarna Travel. So Sarna Travel, as a product, we started, promoting that idea, and we would take our guests. And they would, engage with the communities. That would be community driven and community engaged all the time. But if you see, the travel aspect in Odisha, or the tourism aspect, is always for a limited period of time, from let's say October to February, March. After that, people don't really like to come to Odisha because of, the weather. But since we were driving it with the community, so we would often get disconnected after the tourism period was over. So for us to have that contact and not make us feel reluctant when we approach to them in the next season, we thought we need to invest in their idea. And that's when we made Sarna Craft. That, we will have a collaboration with them. We will give them design interventions. We will add on some utilitarian value to the product, to the art and craft product. And, carry on the business when the tourism season is not there. And eventually we rebranded it. And we also got the 2 names registered and trademarked. And now you all know the story.
That's amazing. So, to Jitu sir, you are a writer, right? You have written a lot of books. So, as an author and archaeologist, what vision did you see, and what do you want to highlight or convey through these books?
Okay. So initially, because I was working with an education company, not directly dealing with children from grade 5 to grade 12, but indirectly. I was training their teachers, and also sometimes I was interacting with kids, not in the formal setup but informal setup. So what I learned that, the way history is taught, I think all of you have also had the same problem when you were growing up as children.
Yes.
History was never considered as a subject of importance. So because you have to remember the dates when the first battle of Panipat was fought,
The dates were
yeah,
really
the
tough.
dates were, and it was not engaging.
True.
So I thought that how we create an interest for history in particular and social science in general. So that was the reason I was trying out through my travel. Though I was working, I would not get much time to travel. But after I left my job at Education Initiatives in 2016, so I got more freedom because I was getting money from Wipro, and I had I had nothing to report them. So I used that money and also whatever I had saving, travel across the country, and mainly I went to places which are not known for tourists. So I lived in Arunachal for some times, in Majuli Island for 3 weeks, in Barmer in India-Pakistan border, in Himachal Pradesh, in different parts of the country, and where I met lot of interesting people, and also the way they connect to the nature, their innovations, grassroots innovations, to solve different kinds of problems in their daily life, and also folk tales, legends, local history. So all these things fascinated me. So I was writing blogs, and some of my blogs were also quite hit. 10,000, 20,000 people would read them and they would comment on it. But after I came back to Odisha in 2018, I started also writing blogs on Odisha. But later I realized that if you give content free, and then probably would be not much valued, and books have much more
Value to it. True.
So that is how I started writing. It was started in 2020 with a small booklet and on Bhubaneswar, Lord Shiva's Eastern Abode, and it was released worldwide. But after writing that, I started writing about my travels on Odisha, non-fictions. Odisha Journeys was the first book, which is still in demand. Even Odisha Tourism also has purchased a lot of copies. So I try to document stories of Odisha which have never been heard, from the southernmost part of Odisha, Malkangiri till Baleshwar, all kind of nature stories, natural history, cultural history, tribal stories, so all kind of stories. And then the next book I wrote more region specific. One was the coastal part of Odisha, the stories of coastal Odisha, and the other one is the highlands Odisha, or the Ghats regions of Odisha, and lot of like shamanic practices, and then food habits. So all these kinds of stories I wrote. And then I had written a book called Adi before, and that book I took almost 10-15 years to write. Though it is just a 150, 120, 130 pages book, it is about Indus Valley Civilization, a fiction book. Because when I started writing, it always came as an academic book, not as a story book, because it was difficult for me to paint the stories of skies, the way daily life happened in that era, children's life, what kind of games they would play, and the sky, color of the sky, dust, everything. So I got a lot of criticism. Then I met someone, I think you would all have heard about Amar Chitrakatha. The founder of Amar Chitrakatha, Anant Pai, who was a very well-known children's literature person, expert. So I had a chance to meet him, and he wanted to publish my book also with his suggestions, which I had to incorporate. But unfortunately, he passed away after we met. So that book again got, and then it got finally published. And after writing this Adi book, then I started writing other fictions. And of course, now I have understood that what, the elements of storytelling, and then how you make it more interesting, and what especially younger generations like. Because I'm not writing for the elderly people. I'm writing mostly for younger generation.
Yes, you have some romantic books as well. Romance books.
All of them are. And there is also element of adventure. There is elements of food history. There is element of business, ethical practices, values. So all these things. And that is why I am trying to understand the idea of India. Because when we talk about idea of India, it is multiplicity of ideas. People from all kinds of religions, all kinds of belief systems. So they have all contributed and they've come together. So my strength is people, I see that how ideas from different cultures merge together and create a unique story. So, yeah.
That's amazing, sir. So, what are the books that you would recommend maybe the listeners that would want to learn about Odisha and
Odisha,
Sarna?
I have, as I said, I have written 4 books. One is the Odisha Journeys, the other one is the Buddhist Heritage, Embracing Compassion. Third one is Culture, Mountains and Cuisine, that is on Eastern Ghats. And the fourth one, Sand Stories, and so that is the fourth book, that is on the coastal areas. And then the latest one is the fiction,
Okay.
which was very close to my heart. It's called Kalinga Loves Battlefield. It is set in the time of Emperor Ashoka's Kalinga War, before and after him, after the Kalinga War. And this is the love story and the power of love, how it has an advantage over violence and not crime but violence. Crime also, you can say. Ashoka
War
did a
crime, if
crime
you
also
want to say.
by killing so many people.
Yes.
So this is how the stories. And while writing this, what I have experienced through my travel has always helped me. Like when I go in Odisha, wherever you go, you see fishermen. It always draws me the way they do fishing in remote water bodies, rivers, or dam sites, or so that has become part of my writing. So in also another book I have written, like Dhau boats. It's a place called Mandvi in Gujarat, where I met a 80-year-old man who used to be a captain in a ship, Dhau boat.
Okay.
It's called Vahan. So he narrated his entire story, like from his childhood till how he and the way he has experienced his travel to Oman, Muscat, even East Africa.
That's amazing.
So I have not gone in his boat, in his ship, but he almost won out. I think it is there in the YouTube also. When I went and interviewed him. So those things are like part of my fiction writings, because whatever I have experienced.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice. Odisha is home to incredible art, tradition, and history. So, if you had to describe Odisha in 3 words, what would it be?
I would say timeless, vibrant, and intricate. I think all the forms.
True, very true. Sir, for you?
Epic. Odisha is an epic. It's in best kept secret, India's best kept secret. That is another thing, and it is timeless again.
If we were to travel 50 years back in Odisha, what one place you would like to travel or experience as first hand?
50 years back.
Yeah, 50 years back. If you have to go 50 years back, what would you
Oh
like
my God.
to experience first hand?
Oh, well, I think what I would like to experience is probably the same old, not 50, at least I can relate to my childhood, but I think it would remain the same. The, indolent, lazy, and very slow and casual life that we had. I think that is one thing that I would like to experience. I think there was a lot of mutual respect. We were not fast. We always tasted life to its core, which I think I would like to experience if I move back or if there is a time travel.
Yeah, this is what I have written also in my books, non-fiction books, that how my childhood has helped me, almost 45 years back. So how I had seen Odisha at that time. That time Odisha is mostly mountainous. Eastern Ghat is the main mountains range in Odisha, and it is like rolling hills. If you go to Maharashtra, you have flat hills. Here it is rolling hills, and creating infrastructure was very difficult in those days. So most of the villages I have seen in Odisha, because my father was posted in different places in Odisha, so I would travel with him. And also I had a teacher also who had played a very important role in my life, because he was giving me all kind of outdoor exposure. So people, as Rosalind said, life was very slow, and there were not much of expectations. People had limited expectations. The culture was more or less intact, which was there even 1,000 years back. Not much has changed. and there was a lot of harmony, uh, and no plastic, no no contaminated water, no pollution, and no smartphone or selfie. It was like yeah, when we would go for picnic and all, like we would all enjoy, listening to a transistor radio sometimes, and that is how we would and then tape recorder came. So that was in mid 80s or something. The tape recorder came, and then the cassette wala tape recorder. So all old songs, we would play and all, but that was fun.
Listening to you guys, I really want to do that too. I want to experience that once at least.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, there are places in today also. If we get chance, we will go to Kandhamar, Belgaum region. I have stayed in just before COVID one night. That is also part of my chapter, one chapter. And we had taken our guest also in 2021 or 22. I think I hardly there would have been any change now, 3-4 years back just. So the raw beauty of life was there even in this time.
Wow.
So I stayed in a tribal home, and next day morning when I woke up, hearing to a shamanic chant, because there was a small child who had fallen sick. So one shaman was treating her, or him or her, I don't know, I don't recall. And it was so powerful and so intense. I could not control myself. I had to step out. It was winter, and I spent almost 1 hour just observing, and then people going to the hilltop in the early morning at 4 o'clock to do their agricultural activities, coming back in the evening. So very, very slow paced life, and it's still there. I mean, in several pockets. You go out of Bhubaneswar, you will find that. Just out of 50 kilometers, you go out of Bhubaneswar. Not in coastal area, but go to the interiors of Odisha. You'll find that.
Handloom and craft are such integral part of Odisha's identity, right? So how do you guys help artisan keep this tradition alive in these days?
I often quote this example, and I would give the same example today. See, Shah Rukh Khan's son wants to get into movies because he sees money and glamour in it, isn't it? So, in order for our artisans to continue with the heritage craft, they have to see the power and glamour in it. So, our idea was actually to bring in that utilitarian value, to give them something to feel excited about. Okay, handlooms and societies always existed, even before Sarna started, isn't it? But what we bring in as a value addition, I think there is a lot of communication that happens between us as an organization. We deal with each of them very personally, so much so that they share their sorrows and sorrows and sufferings and all joys with us. We have also tried to add on a value system of sharing profits with them. Let's say we earn X profit, we ensure that we give back X by 2 to them. And there is a lot of freedom that we give to them in terms of creativity. When we discuss our design or brainstorm our design, there is a lot of discussion that happens back and forth. And such things are very important because eventually all our artisans, be it weavers or the craftsmen, they do artistic work. They have been doing this for generations. But that has to, survive the test of time. And I think each of us play a very important role. And we want to be a part of that ecosystem where there is a give and take between a public and private entity, and we all come together to work. And when every individual grows, then the nation grows, isn't it? So there has to be a growth story, not just for Sarna, but for all the, not just the weavers and artisans that we work for, but for all the people. That is how we grow as a nation. So there is a value addition that we have done in the process or the way in which we work. We call it Sarna's way of life.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does it truly means when it comes to cultural tourism, and how can travelers be more mindful when they're exploring this site that are not mainstream, if I may say?
Would you like to add? Yes.
Okay, cultural tourism is that see, in today's era, because of the social media and various other factors, people also has traveled, most of the people have traveled across the world into different, and they have seen that how tourism, takes place in different parts of the world. So they want to have the similar kind of experience in their own country, because today is a very fast-paced life and very stressful life. If you are living in a metropolitan city, the life is very fast and stressful. So they are looking for always opportunities where they can detach themselves from this digital gadgets, and be with people, be with nature, and reflect themselves, at least for some time. So this is what we call cultural tourism, where they go and interact with people. And if you consider people or human beings, they are all social. We are all social animals, right? But earlier days, like I recall my childhood days, there would be like every vacations we would go to our my mother's place or my father's place and spend, and there would be all the children, my cousins and all, and so much of fun and all. And my grandmother would come and spend time. I would listen stories from her. So there would be a lot of connection with grandparents, parents, grandparents, other relatives and friends, cousins. But today we are living in not even nuclear family now. It is also now an obsolete concept, nuclear family. So, and how do you make socialize? Because if you go to your native village and nobody is there to recognize you. Your home is probably also abandoned, or it is gone. So your ancestral home, I mean. So that is where you can go and make friendship, learn something when you go to people and take, explore their culture, at a very cozy environment, and talk to them, sometime like doing a little bit of kitchen garden, participating in their kitchen garden or agricultural activities, or any kind of like someone's wedding, So all these things are very small things, but that will give you a very lot of satisfaction, and that will rejuvenate yourself. So that is what we believe in cultural tourism. Taking a selfie and not understanding about people, it doesn't mean and you have to be very like open, like you have to be good listener, you have to make less carbon footprints, good listener, and immerse with themselves, and everybody has a story to share.
I think I would just add here. So I remember one particular, of all the travels that we've done, there is one particular trip that I'll never forget. So we had a group of senior citizens, all in 70s and 80s, who had come from Gujarat. And we had gone to Patna, where the ikat weaving is done. So we would tie up with any of the master, artisan. We would give them money beforehand to prepare food. And, there is a whole lot of experience that happens, wherein every traveler goes through the process of weaving and everything. So I remember after the explanation of the ikat weaving and everything was over, we all sat down on floor for lunch. And we also had a couple from America. So we had this 5 people from Gujarat. We had this American couple. And the 2 drivers who were driving the the vehicles. We all sat down to have delicious Odia lunch. So when we were about to depart and say bye-bye, the weaver actually expressed so much of happiness because he had never experienced this. On top of that, the person who was driving, he said, we never had a chance to sit with our guest and have lunch together. So that's the cultural experience you're talking about, where everybody is equal and we all want to cherish that memory forever.
That's really amazing. You guys are actually doing an amazing job.
Oh, thank you.
So moving on, if someone wants to support Odisha's tradition and artisans, so they can't travel here, suppose, what would be the best way to do it? Any possible way?
Buy from Odisha Potli.
Buying, and also, we also have helped some of the artisans to bring their stories, because when I came to Odisha, of course that time Sarna had not been founded, but I went to all the corners of Odisha, as I told you, and met several artisans, like from terracotta to dokra and everywhere. So they asked me that, can you help us out to get recognitions, either getting a award, Padma Shri, or that what is it called, artisan award or something. So I said that unconditional. I said that, yeah, whatever I can do, I can bring out your stories. And so that is what I have done, and some of them also have received awards based on my writings about them. And then when Sarna was founded, we also tried to bring their stories, by interviewing them, and whether they are weavers from Maniabandhanwa, Patna, or Dhokra artisans, or any kind of artisans. We've tried to bring their stories so that at least they are recognized even.
So we have this channel Odisha Journeys on YouTube, wherein we create such content and stories, and it is for public to view. So there's a very interesting aspect to it, because when we were incorporated as an organization, we all had left our job and started this company, right? So every penny counted. And Jitu says connection, we got in touch with a US based company who would do virtual tours of the places. And we were lucky that all this content, many of the content
videos we have made
got
for them
actually
on
purchased
Odisha.
by this American company. Just for our 8-minute, 10-minute video, they would actually pay us in dollars. And I think that way they contributed into stories of Odisha, knowingly, unknowingly, and it was visible to their audience as well.
That's amazing.
So that way, there is some or the other impact that happens in the journey.
Okay, nice. So you guys are like spreading not only in India but outside. So that's amazing to do. And okay, so if a young listener wants to explore Odisha beyond the usual tourist spots, the mainstream areas, where would you recommend them to visit if they truly wants to know Odisha?
Eastern Ghats.
Not necessarily. Even Chilika also is fine. Everywhere in Odisha. Everywhere in Odisha. See, even Bhubaneswar itself has a lot of surprises.
Oh yes, yes.
So, if you travel in and around Bhubaneswar, so how many people even would know about the Chosor Jogini temple?
Oh no, yeah.
True.
So there are a lot of things in and around Bhubaneswar and Cuttack.
Yes.
So,
Because
but
if we are to say, as outsider, mostly they would know Jagannath Puri, then Konark, and this and that, a couple of
and if
few
you ask
places.
me in particular which destination would you like, that is not a destination, that's an experience. I would definitely recommend Nuapada district in western part of Odisha, and there's a community called Chukutia Bhunjia as a PVG tribe.
Okay.
They are supposed to be the best storytellers in Odisha, but hardly nobody knows about them. So immense hospitality.
Wow.
So when there are a lot of stories, in my books also I have written stories about them, their legends, their mythology and everything. So that is a place which we would recommend, Nuapada. Koraput of course not, because Koraput is oversaturated now, and there are good sides of Koraput, but unfortunately we only talk about the nature and trekking and hiking, and people just go and make it filthy. So by mindless tourism, what you say.
Yes, true.
So yeah.
Just a selfie spot, more like people barely want to understand the cultural
Right.
aspects of it.
Chilika also. Chilika has lot of stories.
Yes.
Because it's not only confined to Barkul or this Satpada where they do mindless tourism. But if you go interiors of Chilika, you have lot of stories. And like, how they go in the night to do fishing. Daytime they don't do fishing. And how the fish is distributed, what are the techniques they used. And then there are various spots where you have different habitats for different birds. And then the life is very, very slow. And there are a lot of stories in Chilika. And surrounding Chilika also is a lot of story. I don't know whether you know about a place called Barbara Forest.
We had an session, so we heard that place, but
It has a very
unfortunately
interesting,
haven't
it is one of the largest teak forests in India.
gone. Okay.
And there is a very interesting story. There was a woman, a lady called Barbara, she and her husband had gone inside the forest to do tiger hunting.
Okay.
But unfortunately, this lady was killed by a tiger. And under the grief, and he renamed the forest as Barbara Forest.
Wow, that is such a
And there are
sad
so many hidden
romantic
treasures
story.
within Barbara Forest. You have small waterfalls. There is a dam site called Saria Dam, where there are rafts, and which take you to the prehistoric time. How sailings were happening, the boating, fishings were happening. So many things, and it is just 2.5 hours from Bhubaneswar. You can go in the morning and come back in the evening, or maybe one night you can stay.
You should definitely try.
So there are so many interesting places,
Yes.
but unfortunately we don't talk about them.
Okay, so time is very less, so we will quickly have a fun session.
Sure.
Fun and rapid fire questions, right?
Okay, yes.
So, favorite Odisha dish?
Bhata dalma.
Sir,
Odisha dish, I would say chana podo.
Chanavada master. Favorite local festival?
I would say Dola Purnima and Medana from my childhood time.
I would say Durga Puja
Okay, Durga Puja specifically, which region?
in Puri.
Okay.
Very, very different kind of Durga Puja. Very, very old traditions.
Okay.
Uh,
So, hidden gem in Odisha.
Gajapati.
as I said, Nuapada.
Okay. So, if Sarna had a theme song, what would it be?
Oh my god. I would go with Bande Utkala Janani.
No, there's a tribal song also, which was, I think, some years back, 5-6 years back. This was this is the tribal anthem of Odisha.
Okay.
So that I think would be.
So, if you could take any historical figure or person from Odisha on a Sarna tour, who would be?
Historical person.
Yes. To Sarna tour.
Ashoka.
I think I would probably pick up, Upendra Bhanja. He has written such beautiful but complex classical Odia, and his literature work is actually referred by weavers to bring those into weaves. But many of them are still not able to interpret it properly. I wish I take him on a cultural trip to Bargad and we extract that and make something very interesting and unique.
Amazing. So, okay, before we wrap up, would you like to say anything to the audience? A message or something?
I would say love your life, love your nature, and please be mindful in every aspect.
Amazing, sir.
I would say slow down, be compassionate, and don't expect much from the future. Live in your present, and I strongly believe in Buddha's eightfold path. I think that I would recommend to everyone. So how mind is you can actually control your mind by thoughtful meditations and by thoughtful traveling also, mindful traveling.
That's
So that is
amazing.
what I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for coming here. And
Thank you.
being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.